Picture this. You're in your kitchen making breakfast.
Right. The usual morning rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
The coffee is brewing, everyone's running around, and stationed right in the exact center of all that traffic is a Havanese.
Oh, they always find the busiest spot.
They really do. Bright eyes, tracking every single movement, soft coat, and, that tail giving just a subtle rhythmic thump against the cabinet just to remind you they're there.
Just in case you forgot.
Right. They aren't hiding away in a dog bed somewhere. They are fully, literally woven into the operational flow of the household.
It's highly strategic positioning, honestly. I mean, they are actively participating in the morning routine. They're scanning for any disruption in the environment.
Or, more specifically, any disruption that hits the floor.
Exactly.
And inevitably it happens. Like a kid drops a piece of toast or a little corner of a pancake, falls off the spatula, and before your human brain even registers the sound of it hitting the linoleum, it's gone. Oof. Inhaled. And then, later in the afternoon, someone slips the dog a tiny cube of cheese while making a sandwich. Because let's be honest, how do you say no to a face that has been genetically engineered to look like a teddy bear?
It's very difficult.
It is. And by dinner time, this dog is stationed right under the dining table with what our notes describe as professional level timing.
Oh, yeah. They know the schedule better than we do.
Right. And in the moment, every single one of those little interactions feels completely harmless. It feels like love,
Yes.
But as we'll see in today's deep dive into the life cycle nutrition of the Havanese, food is never just food. It's an emotional currency.
It really is. It's heavily loaded with human psychology. I mean, when we look at the nutritional life cycle of a small companion breed, we're really looking at the architecture of their daily life.
Right.
The challenge is that the things we do to show affection in the short term, well, they often run in direct opposition to the dog's long-term physiological needs.
Which is the entire mission of our deep dive today.
Mhm.
So we aren't here to just read off a boring list of which kibble brand to buy.
No one wants that.
Definitely not. We are looking at a really fascinating stack of research to extract the insights on how to balance that immense, very real affection you have for the dog with their actual, metabolic reality.
Yes.
The goal is to avoid the trap of trying to prove our love through overfeeding, so we can protect their joint comfort, their teeth, their mobility, and their energy over a 15-year lifespan.
Which is a long time. It's a masterclass in how small daily habits compound over a lifetime, really.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand why that single drop pancake crumb in the kitchen matters so much, we have to start at the very beginning. We need to look at the sheer, undeniable mathematics of a small body.
Right, and the math is entirely unforgiving. It begins the literal moment you bring a puppy home.
Wow.
Yeah. Havanese puppies have a uniquely steep growth curve. They require an appropriate puppy formulation that, physically supports rapid bone and brain development.
So you can't just give them whatever.
Exactly. Transitioning them to an adult food prematurely, maybe just to simplify the household feeding routine.
Which people do all the time.
They do. But it deprives them of the caloric density they need during that really critical window. But the problem most owners face isn't just what they are feeding, it's how they determine the volume.
Oh, this was wild to me. The literature strongly warns against relying on the back of a dog food bag or like some generic feeding chart you pull up online.
Yes, avoid those.
Because those charts are just averages of averages, right? They assume a median metabolic rate, a median activity level, and, a median environmental temperature.
Right. They don't know your dog.
Exactly. They don't know if your specific puppy has a naturally sluggish metabolism or if they are running wind sprints around your living room for 3 hours a day.
Which is exactly why those specific portion calculations must come from a veterinarian, someone who is actively putting their hands on your dog and tracking their specific growth trajectory.
Because the stakes are high, right?
Very high. I mean, overfeeding during this puppy stage doesn't just create a chubby puppy, it actually prompts the body to create more fat cells.
Wait, really? More fat cells?
Yes. Which establishes a baseline for obesity that the dog will battle for the rest of its life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And on the flip side, because a small puppy has virtually zero physical reserves, underfeeding or ignoring a poor appetite is a medical emergency.
Yeah, that's a massive red flag in our notes.
Yeah.
If a puppy suddenly loses their appetite, acts lethargic, or has repeated vomiting or diarrhea, that is not a let's wait and see how they are tomorrow situation.
Absolutely not. Their blood sugar can plummet incredibly fast.
Right. That is an immediate call to the vet. But assuming we navigate puppyhood perfectly, the dog reaches adulthood, the growth stops, and the nutritional challenge completely shifts.
It changes overnight, almost.
Yeah, now we are just trying to maintain a stable body condition. And this is where their charming, hypersocial personality becomes their own worst enemy.
It really does, because they have evolved to be the ultimate companion animal. They want to be involved in whatever you are doing.
Which usually means food.
Exactly. It means they are constantly present whenever food is being prepared or consumed. And this silent accumulation of calories is exacerbated by practices like, free feeding.
Leaving the bowl out all day.
You're right. We all know leaving a bowl of food out all day is generally frowned upon, but for a small breed prone to picking up microcalorie boosts from multiple family members, free feeding completely eliminates your only diagnostic baseline.
Because you have zero data on what they're actually consuming.
Precisely.
So let's actually do the math on those microcalorie boosts, because scaling here just completely blew my mind.
The math is sobering.
It is. So an average adult Havanese might weigh around, 10 to 12 pounds? Their resting metabolic requirement is roughly 250 to 300 calories a day.
Give or take, yeah.
Now, let's say a human drops a standard 1-ounce cube of cheddar cheese. That cheese is about 115 calories.
For that dog, a single piece of cheese is more than a third of their entire daily caloric requirement.
It's massive.
Like, if a human on a 2,000-calorie diet ate the equivalent percentage of their daily intake as a tiny snack, isn't that mathematically like someone handing you a 700-calorie double cheeseburger while you're standing in the kitchen and you just eat it on top of your normal meals?
That is a perfect analogy. It is compound interest, but for adipose tissue.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, think about it. If you live in a multi-person household and 3 different people slip the dog a quote-unquote tiny bite of chicken or a corner of a cracker,
You have just ruined the budget.
you have quietly doubled the dog's daily caloric intake. This is why the concept of treats cannot exist as a separate bonus category.
Oh, I see.
Every single reward must be deducted from that strict 300-calorie daily budget from day one.
Right.
Furthermore, apartment dogs, or dogs that are carried around in tote bags for convenience, they are burning even fewer calories than the baseline. But this raises a really glaring question. If the math is that stark, and an extra cube of cheese is the metabolic equivalent of a cheeseburger, the surplus calories are piling up fast.
Very fast.
If I eat a 700-calorie surplus every day, it would show on my waistline very quickly. So why don't owners notice this happening to their dogs? We look at them every single day.
Well, because the visual evidence is hiding in plain sight. It's masked by a very specific biological feature of this breed.
The fluff illusion.
Yes, the fluff illusion.
This is arguably the most critical paradigm shift in all of our research today. The Havanese coat, that beautiful double-layered soft wave of hair, it completely blurs the anatomical outline of the dog's body.
It functions as a highly effective optical illusion. The coat smooths out the angles. You look down at your dog and you see a creature that looks, wonderfully round, soft, and adorable.
Right, but fluffy and healthy are not synonymous.
Not at all. A dog could be carrying 30% excess body fat, which is a dangerous level of obesity, and the coat will simply make them look cuddlier.
Instead of obviously overweight.
Exactly.
So if our eyes are fundamentally lying to us, how do we establish the truth? We have to bypass the optical illusion entirely.
You have to get your hands on the dog.
Right. Owners have to learn how to check body condition hands-on.
Yeah.
You have to literally get your fingers into the coat and feel the rib cage, trace the waistline, and assess the muscle tone.
Yes.
But wait, if I'm blindly feeling around for ribs on a 10-pound dog, how do I know if I'm feeling a healthy dog or an underfed, malnourished one? Does the coat just lie to us completely?
What's fascinating here is the tactile scale veterinarians use for this. Now, obviously, your vet needs to demonstrate this on your specific dog, but the general mechanical rule is the hand test.
The hand test, okay.
Yeah, so if you run your fingers lightly over the dog's rib cage, it should feel similar to running your fingers over the back of your own hand.
Oh, so you can feel the individual bones just beneath the surface without having to press down hard.
Exactly. Now, if it feels like the palm of your hand, fleshy and soft, where you have to push in to find a bone, the dog is overweight. And if it feels like your knuckles when you make a fist, sharp and protruding, the dog is underweight.
That is such a helpful visual. Or, tactile, I guess.
Yeah.
And we need to be clear about why we are checking this. Extra weight on a small frame isn't just a cosmetic issue.
Not at all.
It's not about the dog looking a little chunky in their winter sweater. We are talking about severe mechanical strain.
Absolutely. Imagine carrying a backpack that weighs a third of your body weight every single hour of the day.
That sounds miserable.
It is. It actively threatens their breathing efficiency. It places an immense, unnatural load on their knees, specifically the patella, which is already a vulnerable joint in small breeds.
Oh, right. Luxating patellas are huge in small dogs.
Yes. Furthermore, fat is not just inert storage space. Adipose tissue is highly active endocrine tissue.
Wait, endocrine, so it's releasing hormones.
Yes. It constantly pumps inflammatory hormones into the dog's system, degrading their overall health and mobility. They become lethargic, so they move less, which slows their metabolism further.
Ensuring they gain even more weight.
Exactly. It is a catastrophic cycle.
Okay, so we know we have to physically put our hands on the dog to bypass the optical illusion. We know the ruthless math of their metabolism. Yet families still struggle immensely to just say no to the dog begging at the dinner table.
It's so hard.
Why does our discipline crumble so easily when we know the stakes?
Because you are dealing with master manipulators.
Right. The Havanese intellect. They are so socially tuned into human emotion, they essentially run behavioral experiments on us.
Oh, they absolutely do. They are highly observant. They study our microexpressions.
It's kind of scary.
It is. They quickly learn the exact tilt of the head, the exact softness of the eyes, and the precise pitch of a vocal whine that will make a human's resolve completely dissolve.
And once they find the button that dispenses the chicken, they will press it relentlessly.
Over and over.
And our notes outline how giving into this doesn't just add calories, it creates a behavioral nightmare called the upgrading cycle.
Yes, the upgrading cycle.
Which leads to severe picky eating. Let me see if I can deduce how this reverse conditioning loop actually works.
Go for it.
Okay, so I put the dog's normal measured kibble in the bowl. The dog sniffs it, looks at me, and walks away. My human brain immediately panics. I assume the dog is starving or depressed or just hates the brand of food.
Classic reaction.
So to quote-unquote fix the problem, I go to the fridge, grab a spoonful of wet food or some shredded cheese, and mix it into the kibble. The dog immediately eats it.
And you think you've won.
Exactly. Here's where it gets really interesting. I think I just solved the feeding problem. But what I actually did was teach the dog that refusing kibble pays a higher dividend.
Precisely.
I haven't fixed their appetite. I've just been trained to open the fridge on command.
Yeah.
We're the ones being conditioned.
That is exactly the mechanism at play. If we connect this to the bigger picture of animal psychology, every single feeding interaction is a teaching moment.
Every single one.
Yes. Behaviors that get rewarded get repeated. Always. If a dog learns that a 20-minute hunger strike results in premium roasted chicken, they will strike for 20 minutes.
Makes sense.
And if you hold out, they might push it to a 2-day strike, knowing your anxiety will eventually break before their stubbornness does.
Wow.
Picky eating in this breed is rarely a personality trait. It is almost always an accidentally learned habit engineered by an anxious owner.
So how do we break the loop? If we shouldn't be using extra treats and table scraps, how do we train them, reward them, and keep our sanity?
The most effective solution is to take a portion of their actual mathematically measured daily kibble, say 20% of it, put it in a pouch, and use that as their training rewards throughout the day.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, you use their baseline nutrition as the currency for positive reinforcement. It keeps their caloric intake perfectly balanced, it prevents the upgrading cycle, and it makes them work for their food, which provides excellent mental stimulation.
Okay, let's unpack this reverse conditioning loop a little further. We've established that what we call fussy eating is usually just the dog holding out for a better offer.
Right.
But if we commit to the tough love, put the kibble down, and refuse to upgrade it, we have to be absolutely certain it's just a behavioral standoff.
Yeah.
What if the refusal isn't stubbornness? What if it's a mechanical failure?
This raises an incredibly important question, because you have to rule out hidden physical pain.
Right.
Small companion breeds have tiny jaws, which means their teeth are frequently crowded together. This crowding creates the perfect microenvironments for plaque accumulation and severe periodontal disease.
And dental pain masquerades as behavioral changes. The signs are incredibly subtle. It's not always a dog crying in pain, right?
Early, actually.
It might just be really bad breath.
Oh.
Or you notice they're picking up a piece of kibble, walking over to the carpet, and dropping it out of their mouth before trying to chew it again.
Yes, dropping food is a huge indicator.
Or they are chewing exclusively on the left side of their mouth because the right side has an exposed root. If a dog suddenly refuses to eat, it might not be that they are holding out for cheese. It might literally send a shockwave of pain through their jaw to crunch that dry food.
Which is why relying on dry kibble to act as your primary dental plan is a dangerous myth.
Oh, tell me about that.
There is a persistent belief that hard food perfectly scrapes the teeth clean. It doesn't. Any more than eating pretzels negates the need for a human to brush their teeth.
That is such a good point. I love pretzels, but I still brush.
Right. Conversely, wet food isn't automatically the enemy of dental health either. Food texture is just one tiny piece of the dental picture. You need a real routine brushing with enzymatic toothpaste and utilizing safe dental chews vetted by a veterinary dentist.
Which perfectly bridges us into the realm of false culprits. Because owners are so desperate to solve problems for their dogs, they often blame diet for things that have nothing to do with food whatsoever.
Oh, constantly.
The classic example in our research is tear staining.
Yes, those reddish-brown streaks running down the fur under the dog's eyes. It is incredibly common in the Havanese.
And the immediate reaction of most owners is to assume the dog has a severe food allergy.
Right. They will aggressively cycle through 5 different premium diets in 3 months trying to cure it.
But constant food switching just detonates their gastrointestinal tract. It ruins their digestion, and it makes it impossible to figure out what's actually going on.
Exactly.
And the mechanics of tear stains are fascinating. It's often just an anatomical plumbing issue.
Yes.
Because of the shape of a small dog's skull, their lacrimal ducts, the tear ducts, can be quite shallow. So instead of the tears draining internally down into the nasal cavity like they're supposed to, they spill over the eyelid onto the face.
And dog tears contain molecules called porphyrins, which contain iron. When those tears sit on the fur and interact with oxygen, sunlight, and the natural normal yeast on the dog's skin, they oxidize.
They literally rust.
Yes, turning that reddish-brown color. It is an anatomical and chemical reality, not a response to the poultry protein in their kibble.
And people do the exact same thing with dull coats or itchy skin, immediately blaming the grain in the food when the culprit is often environmental allergens, the humidity in a house, or just poor grooming habits.
It's true.
Which brings us to the ultimate danger zone for a small dog owner, fad diets.
Oh boy.
Raw diets, boutique exotic proteins, grain-free formulas with no medical justification, or homemade recipes cobbled together from an influencer's blog. But wait, I have to push back here.
Okay, go ahead.
If I'm standing in a high-end pet boutique, and I see a $30 bag of food that says grain-free, raw-infused, ancestral wolf diet, my instinct as a loving owner is that I'm buying the absolute premium elite fuel for my tiny dog. Why is that dangerous?
It is entirely natural to want to provide the highest tier of care. We all want the best.
Yeah.
But a 10-pound dog is a terrible canvas for dietary experimentation. The margins for error are simply too small. A large breed dog might be able to process and excrete a slight imbalance of calcium or vitamin D from an unverified boutique diet. But a small body has less blood volume and less filtration capacity in the liver and kidneys.
Oh, that makes sense.
An inappropriate dosing of a basic nutrient or a trendy coat-enhancing supplement can achieve toxic levels in a small breed incredibly quickly.
Wow.
Furthermore, grain-free diets formulated with legumes and peas have been under intense veterinary scrutiny for potential links to dilated cardiomyopathy.
A fatal heart condition.
Exactly. You have to tune out the marketing hype. A homemade diet is rarely complete without a board-certified veterinary nutritionist calculating the exact micronutrients.
Okay, so we've navigated the pitfalls of the fluff illusion, the master manipulators, the hidden dental pains, and the marketing hype. That accumulation of knowledge is vital. But the physical reality of the dog doesn't stay static.
No, they age.
Right. That unseen joint strain, or hidden dental wear, doesn't just disappear, it compounds. And that compounding interest comes due when the dog enters his golden years. How do we adapt this structured approach for a senior Havanese?
Senior nutrition requires intense observation because the dog's metabolic needs can rapidly diverge in 2 completely opposite directions.
2 opposite directions.
Yeah. Some senior Havanese will gain weight alarmingly fast because their daily activity naturally decreases. They sleep more, they walk slower.
But the owner continues to feed them the exact same adult portion they ate when they were 3 years old.
Exactly. They aren't burning the fuel, so it goes straight to the fat reserves.
Right.
But conversely, some seniors will suddenly lose weight and drop muscle mass. This can be tied to a worsening of that hidden dental discomfort we discussed, making eating a chore.
Oh, so they just stop wanting to chew.
Yes. Or It could be a decline in their olfactory senses. They literally can't smell the food as well, so their appetite drops. Or it could be underlying kidney or liver changes. You might need to shift the physical texture of their food or adjust the protein ratios.
The major takeaway from our notes is that age itself is not a diagnosis.
Yeah.
You never just shrug and say, well, they're getting skinny because they're old.
Never.
That requires a fresh diagnostic conversation with your vet to recalibrate their baseline. When we step back and look at this entire life cycle holistically, the way we feed them fundamentally shapes their temperament.
It really does.
Chaotic, unpredictable feeding schedules where high-value treats appear randomly can trigger anxiety and food guarding. But rewarding, calm, settled behavior with their measured daily baseline shapes a dog that is secure, predictable, and deeply joyful to live with. It boils down to a concept the research calls affection with structure.
It's an essential philosophy, because good nutrition isn't about the momentary, fleeting thrill of handing them a piece of human food and watching their eyes light up.
Even though that feels so good in the moment.
It does, but it's really the slow, invisible work of protecting their internal organs, preserving their joint cartilage, and sustaining their energy across 15 years. Food is merely the first half of the Havanese body story. It is the internal fuel.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Once you master the discipline of providing that high-quality, structured internal fuel, it naturally forces you to look at the second half of the equation, how the dog physically burns that fuel.
Which points directly toward the necessity of daily movement, specific joint protection strategies, and the mental stimulation required to keep an intelligent, socially demanding breed from developing behavioral neuroses.
And that is exactly where we'll be heading in future deep dives. But for now, we want to thank you for joining us as we unpack this incredible research. As always, everything we've explored today is meant for educational purposes. If you are ever concerned about your dog's weight, their teeth, or their sudden picky eating, please consult your veterinarian directly.
Yes, your vet is the only one who can run the actual numbers on your specific dog. There is absolutely no substitute for hands-on, localized medical assessment.
But before we let you go, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've spent this entire time analyzing how the dog reacts to the food we provide. We've looked at the math of their tiny bodies, their brilliant behavioral manipulations, and the mechanical realities of their teeth and joints.
All very important.
But turn the lens around for a second. Think about the human element. How much of our desperate, impulsive need to offer extra treats or upgrade their kibble with rich toppers is actually about us?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right. In our hyper-connected modern world, we are incredibly busy. We are stressed, we leave the house for 10 hours a day to work, and we carry an immense amount of guilt for leaving this highly social creature alone. Is slipping that piece of chicken under the dining room table actually about fulfilling the dog's nutritional requirements? Or is it a psychological band-aid? Are we just trying to buy ourselves a momentary transactional feeling of being a quote-unquote good caretaker to absolve our own guilt? Tomorrow morning, when you're in the kitchen, the coffee's brewing, and you go to drop that tiny crumb to the bright-eyed dog waiting below, ask yourself, who are you really feeding?